Francis Bardo, do you know what his malady was?
Yeah, Francis was a very good friend. We went through a lot of problems together and a lot of joys together. Your daddy and I went over and played with his inventive game of croquet golf. And Francis and I go back a long ways, of course, since I came out here when I was 14 and Francis was in the church. And Francis used to help mow the lawn. And he had a problem with cerebral palsy, of course, and he was sharp as a tack, but he couldn't speak very well. He had a hard time understanding him. And he would come to my Sunday school class all the time. He used to come to my dad's Sunday school class all the time. And he'd often say, catch us afterwards, he says, you know, when you ask questions, I could have answered those questions, but I knew people couldn't understand me, so I just didn't say anything. But he always appreciated those contacts in church, very, very fine gentleman. But
where did he get the bicycle, that thing that he rode?
Yeah, he got a tricycle bicycle, he got a three-wheel bicycle that he rode around. But then when his dad was alive, of course, he drove him around to mow lawns. And he mowed the church lawn, mowed lawns for various ladies around town. And the sad thing was that he sort of took advantage of this gentleman because of his inadequacies and the tendency to look down on someone like that, who, with some pity, but yet take advantage of the fact, well, he doesn't need very much, so I won't pay him very much. And he would allow people to take care of him, to take advantage of him. And that was a sad situation. But Francis always wanted to do something like the other people did, but he couldn't do it, and that would get him in trouble occasionally. But
I remember his croquet golf. I think that was...
Yeah, he'd call and he'd get upset if we couldn't come play with him. And Jim and I would go down and finish our meal, hurry and get over there to play croquet golf because he was waiting there ready to play. But he'd get up there with that one left hand, and hit that ball, even though he had a hard time getting around. But he would do it. He'd have the biggest time. Appreciate all the friendships that he had. But he was a very dedicated gentleman, and I always remember his. I have to tell you a story because since he went to our church, he mowed the church lawn, and they gave him so much a year to mow the church lawn. Well, gee, that was a big job. And here's this kid going around with a 24-inch lawnmower, you know. And his dad would bring him up and wait for him in the car there, and he'd go out and mow this lawn, fill it up with gas, and as crippled as he was, he'd push behind this lawnmower and mowed essentially 3/4 of an acre of lawn. And I didn't think the church was paying him enough. But again, that's one of those things that people do. And since I was moderator of the church, I said, look, I went down and talked with him and his dad. I said, look, I think this is nonsense. I'm going to tell the folks at church that you will, we're glad to mow the lawn, but we're going to have to pay more because you can't even keep up the gas for what you're being paid. And I said, I'm just going to tell them if they don't like that, we'll put it up to a certain amount, and we can afford that. Let's just do it that way. So if you can't do that, if the church can't do that, then you tell them to get somebody else to mow. And I'll never forget that. He jumped up out of the chair and he said, no, don't you do that. I'll mow that lawn if they don't pay me anything, because that's all I can do for my God, and I'm going to do it. So don't, excuse me, don't tell me that I can't mow that lawn, and don't put that pressure on them. Well, what could I do? I mean, it was, I soon realized that I was the one in the wrong there, that I was expecting to take a hold of the thing and take care of it and give him a little bit better job, but his dedication was more important to him than that. So that's the type of fellow he was. But then he had some other problems that developed because he wanted to do things that he thought he could do, and he overstretched his bounds. But he was an institution. Everybody knew Francis, and he was friendly to everybody. But then the people loved him, and they took care of him and watched after him. And that's part of the camaraderie that I see in the community. We're very fortunate.